I think in old age, memory is extraordinarily interesting because there's an awful lot of it by now. I've never wanted in writing a novel to make it a very straightforward, this happened and then this happened and then that happened. I like to jump about in time, so I see no reason why you shouldn't have flashbacks. I think flashbacks are extraordinarily useful because they mirror, in a sense, the operation of memory. That's what memory is doing a lot of the time. There is this interesting way in which anyone is a composite of what they are now and what they have been in the past. And also the view of other people is like that as well, so that if in a novel you've got characters who've known each other for a long time, they don't just know each other in the present, they know each other in a memory sense as well, they know each other in the past. So that, again, there's a curious sense that a present in the novel is also a past as well, that there's a great deal of the past of the characters and indeed the action, the narrative, resides in the present. And I've always wanted to try to make that clear, to sort of play with that and use that. The operation of memory probably comes rather more into novels than short stories. A short story is a curious thing because it has a very, for me anyway, a sort of very immediate prompt. It often arises from something seen or something overheard, something I've heard somebody say. And indeed, there is a narrative there, but the narrative will probably be rather less to do with memory. Having said that, I shall then later on remember something that was very much dealing with memory. But it's really the incredibly interesting and useful tool, I think, in writing long fiction rather than in writing the short story. Fiction can be concerned with absolutely anything. This depends on the novelist. I'm far from the only novelist to have been interested in memory and the use of memory. Plenty of other people have. And I'm also very interested in the use of evidence. Evidence is extremely interesting and conflicting. After all, there will be multiple evidences of the same event. I mean, of course, particularly this is true of historical evidence, so that history is in fact not so much memory as it's an examination of conflicting evidences, and this is the same in a fictional purpose. In any scene, there will be as many. There could be as many accounts of the scene as there were people present, and that I'd certainly have tried to use, particularly in a novel called Moon Tiger, where in several places the same scene is shown through the eyes of different participants. Well, there's a huge difference, of course, between history and fiction. History tries not to be fiction, but history tries to make sense of conflicting evidences, and of course will always suggest the bias of the historian as well. But one hopes that there aren't historians who are actually injecting a fictional evidence into it. Which of course, as a novelist, you very much are doing. So there's a huge difference there, and a difference in the use of memory, and of course the sublime choice that the novelist has of making choices, so that the novelist can choose which evidence to present and which evidence not to present, which no historian ought to be doing. A historian should be using all the evidences that are available, but a novelist very deliberately makes choices, cheats in fact. After all, a novelist is making it all up.